Welcome back to Vox Terra. Today, we're going to talk about Joe Biden's infrastructure plan. Make no mistake about it. While I'm going to criticize Joe Biden and support him, I'm also want to make it really clear that under Donald Trump, an infrastructure plan, in my opinion, would have been a disaster for our environment. And at least under Joe Biden, we have a president that environmentalists can work with. So let's start our breakdown with an article from Inside Climate News. 9 Ways Biden's $2 trillion plan will tackle climate change, by Marianne Lavelle, March 31st, 2021. Now, Ms. Lavelle points out that this plan's got everything for every congressional district. Roads, bridges, water, pipes, housing, transit, leaking oil wells. Leaking oil wells? Did someone say leaking oil wells? I sure did. Keep that one in mind. And I'll get back to it. But first, she quotes from the White House summary of the plan. Its preamble states, "This is no time to build back to the way things were. This is the moment to reimagine, rebuild a new economy." You know, and I agree with that. We hear so much in our media and our fiction, they're always mocking and putting down people who are visionary. Look, it's time to reimagine this. But as I will show you, it's not all reimagining. There's some business as usual repackaged also. $650 billion in spending over 10 years on U.S. clean energy transition. And the plan is $213 billion to build, modernize, and weatherize affordable housing. Now she points out that this modernization and weatherizing of affordable housing would tackle the fact that buildings, according to her article, make up about 40% of the U.S. carbon emissions. Now, what I've seen looking at the EPA pie chart of the emissions breakdown, this is going back to 2016, however, was transportation was the biggest, followed by energy, and then buildings were in there as well with the heating and cooling. Now, question one I would have with the building. For me, I'm more of an upgrading kind of a person to reuse what you've already got rather than making new things. There's dilapidating and decaying buildings all over this grand nation of ours. Next, she points out, $174 billion to accelerated transition towards electric vehicles in the United States through consumer incentives like tax credits to purchase EVs, the building of a network of 500,000 EV charging stations. Overall, I gotta applaud. Look, when you're running your internal combustion engine, you, me, anybody who's doing that are putting particulate matters, greenhouse gases, and other pollutants that are bad to breathe in directly into your immediate environment. Whatever you want to say about electric vehicles, whatever pollution they're making, it is away from where you're breathing. Electric vehicles are, according to research I've done, more energy efficient in general. They use less power regardless of the source, and they can potentially be sourced all from clean, renewable energy. $100 billion. Next, $100 billion for power grid modernization. Resilience to stave off catastrophic outages. Now, excellent idea. We need that whether people believe, in quotes, climate change is real or not. No matter what, we can all see there's more extreme weather coming our way, and the grid isn't up for it. But more importantly for grid resilience, grid modernization, grid upgrade has been a key towards a wind, water, and solar power transition from day one, because you want to be able to ship that solar power that's more active during the day to places where at nighttime it's not active, and that wind power to places where it's not windy. Hence making the grid more resilient and better suited for the clean energy economy. $85 billion investment in modernizing public transit. Support that mass transit systems. Supporting mass transit has long been a goal of environmental groups my whole life. Supporting mass transit because you're bundling up the energy consumption, making it bulk, and hopefully using less. Additionally, really interestingly, I heard one environmentalist commenting that electric vehicles preferable than internal combustion, but still, even that turning of the wheels, you're actually putting out particulate matter from the wheel. Unseen particulate matter being breathed in. So just basically the less machines we're driving around, the better. $35 billion investment in clean energy technology research, utility scale energy storage, hydrogen, rare earth element separation, and floating offshore wind. So those ones, Utility scale energy storage. Well, along with an efficient grid, that's the best way to get to 100% clean renewable. Hydrogen. Now, hydrogen, as I pointed out in my earlier video, can be dirty. You can get it from fossil fuels, make that hydrogen fuel, or you can charge it from wind and solar. Now, sadly, in her article, I heard no mention about geothermal and geothermal heat pumps, which you should check out. Next, she says there's also money in that package for carbon capture and storage, advanced nuclear. Now, that can sound good on paper, but carbon capture and storage, as an article I found from DSmog pointed out, is a lot of environmentalists, myself included, feel that for the most part what you're talking about there is a way to sort of, for lack of a better way of putting it, jolly along the fossil fuel industry. Look, we can keep burning these fossil fuels, but we'll capture that carbon and then bury it somewhere. Well, that's awfully expensive, awfully untested. We'd rather just get away from fossil fuels and leave it in the ground. Nuclear. Nuclear energy creates hazardous radioactive waste that will remain radioactive and dangerous to humans and other life forms for thousands of years, longer than civilization itself has existed. Now, there are good studies and good reports put out by Stanford about how to get to 100% clean renewable energy. That's what we should be supporting. We don't need to cheer on another big industry that has been propped up by our government for decades, under different administrations, Republican or Democrat. They can take care of themselves. You don't need to advocate for nuclear energy. And that's the Bernie Sanders difference. Bernie Sanders wanted to phase out nuclear energy and did not support carbon capture. Bernie Sanders was more in line with the environmental movement. Joe Biden is part of the larger corporate establishment and needs to placate them or they will make a lot of trouble for him. The Biden plan would spend $16 billion employing union oil and gas workers to cap abandoned oil and gas wells and clean up mines. Well, that's an excellent idea. You're going to employ those fossil fuel industry workers so they're not so wedded to their industry and trying to defend it. You're giving them other jobs. That's similar to what the Green New Deal calls for with just transitions. But note that we're now using public money to clean up private messes. See, a lot of times when people are arguing against the public sector as a solution, like to say, well, the public sector is inefficient, it's inefficient. They leave out the fact one of the main efficiencies of the private sector is that it can go out of business. Well, when it goes out of business, it leaves behind these abandoned oil wells. We're bankrupt. Bernie Sanders really drew a bright line between business and government that Joe Biden really can't do. So therefore, we the public need to be vigilant. As always, we need to be informed. Subscribe to those legitimate actual environmental organizations like Sierra Club, Natural Resource Defense Council, Environmental Defense Fund, Union of Concerned Scientists, and listen to my show. Share my show with other people. Subscribe, hit that like button, comment, mannerly comments preferred. Click the notification bell, and until next time, peace be with you.